This video is all about the Energizing Cheer main skill, and we will just set the record straight for most of these Pokemon and illustrate why they, for the most part, are bottom of the barrel Pokemon in Pokemon Sleep. There could potentially be balancing updates in the future that make these Pokemon a bit more favorable, but for the most part, these are Pokemon you don't want to invest in. You don't want to send candies off to your friend list, and also just don't want to have on your team whatsoever. There's a bit of nuance to each of these, of course, but for the most part, it's not going to be a video about the best Pokemon. This is the Pokemon to avoid. First of which is Leafeon. Leafeon is worse in most ways to most of the Pokemon in this video. The only thing to point out here are the berries for Leafeon and Wobbuffet. They are both favored at Lapis Lakeside. So if you were to just make me choose which one you should go for, I think potentially Leafeon would be a better option here because it has a higher skill rate than the Wobbuffet and it's faster. The downside of the Leafeon is you steal candy and resources from all the other evolutions, which there are many, and a lot of which are a lot better than Leafeon. Leafeon is one of the worst Pokemon in the game, and the reason is it's a skill specialist with an underwhelming main skill. There is one potential, which we will cover a little bit later in the video, for something called Overcharge, and it's essentially making skill specialist heal your Pokemon past 100% up towards the cap of 150% energy, and then you switch out the Pokemon that is overcharged and place it in your bag so that you have a lot of just 150% Pokemon waiting, and that's going to help you a lot. But overall, it's probably a better idea to just run 2 energy for every one Pokemon because that skill is overall a lot more effective. But that is the whole argument here in this video that we're trying to just puzzle out and figure out. So the Leafeon, we won't talk too much about it. It steals candies from the other evolutions, and to an extent it kind of does the same thing as the Wobbuffet. You probably have like hundreds of Wobbuffet candy from all those poor people on your friend list over the past couple months, and it's not too far behind the Leafeon. So if you were to waste some Dream Shards, then Wobbuffet at Lapis could potentially be a consideration. Only 2 other Pokemon with this main skill are Slowbro and Slowking. Slowbro is just a worse Slowking in every way possible. The only justification for Slowbro ever is I think it is a little bit easier to catch, but at the very least it requires less resources to evolve. But if you are to evolve a Slowpoke, then why not just go for the Slowking to begin with? Potentially there is some comboing potential here with a Suicune. That is something to consider for sure, because then the number of unique species could play a role. Both of these have the potential to get the tails, which is the highest value ingredient in the game. And yeah, if you just look at the numbers here, same ingredient rate, same skill rate, and one more inventory on the Slowking. So favor Slowking by a margin, but then you can see the speed. The Slowking is a lot faster. 8 minutes is quite a bit in the game. And so overall, I would say possibly Slowking is the better of these 4 Pokemon with this main skill, and potentially you could make the case for Wobbuffet at Lakeside, but overall, I'm just not a fan of that Pokemon. Then we can also have a look at some of these values, because that is a big portion of this main skill. What does it actually do? So when this main skill triggers, it will heal a random Pokemon by a set amount. In comparison, Energy for Everyone has a lower amount, but it spreads out evenly, and this skill will give a bigger amount to a single Pokemon at a time at random. So that's where the overcharge comes in, because the potential energy for this main skill to heal some of your Pokemon is actually pretty big. So it is 50 energy percentage points at level 6 main skill. And in comparison, if you just look at the overall value, for example, here, if we bring up the Gardevoir, which is the best energy for all Pokemon, then the max energy that the Gardevoir will heal is 18 at level 6 main skill, which means if you multiply 5 by 18, you get 90. And then you also have to consider the skill rate here, because that is a big deal. The Slowking is triggering a lot more often than the Gardevoir. So let's say you double it, it's almost double, give the favor to the Slowking, then the Slowking will heal 100 overall, while the Gardevoir will heal 90. Now, we gave the favor already to the Slowking. If you then consider the speed difference between these Pokemon, Gardevoir becomes a clear winner because it is a third almost faster than the Slowking. So despite the skill trigger favor going to the Slowking, then just Gardevoir overall will heal a lot more. It will heal more evenly. And overall, Gardevoir is a better Pokemon because it does have the favorite berry at Lapis Lakeside. Rolse is a really strong Pokemon. You can potentially find a good Gallade while at it. And yeah, it's not too much going in favor for the Slowking. It does have the double tail, but getting the Slowking to level 30 is a hustle, and the 60 you won't see anytime soon. So for the most part, if you run Slowking, you're looking at sometimes like a cow, sometimes a tail, and then this random healing. There could potentially be some water type Pokemon comboing with the Suicune, and that is actually where this video takes a turn, because the Slowking, in a way, can be quite useful if you run both the Gardevoir and the Slowking and the Suicune, whatever that will do, to where you can start doing the overcharge strategy. There is an advanced guide here on the channel in the advanced guides playlist on the overcharge topic that you can have a look at, but the brief rundown is as explained earlier. You simply have an A and B team setup where you, for the most part, have 5 Pokemon that you are using on your team, one of which is the Slowking. And then you have the B team, where the B team also has the Slowking, but it has 4 Pokemon that are not on the A team that you just really want to heal, and you want to overcharge them. So for example, this can be your Flareon, your Magnezone, your Dedenne, Pokemon that you typically use a lot during certain periods, but that you may not even be able to carry overnight to give that 100% just like good sleep boost. So what that means is you can go from Team A, you claim all the Pokemon except the Slowking, and then you just swipe to the side where Slowking is also on the team, where the other 4 Pokemon are Pokemon you want to overcharge. So when you switch team, you then pop the Slowking, and it's going to heal something. And that something is going to be one of those 4 Pokemon that you can then overcharge. So it is potentially a use case here, particularly if you can figure out a way to find more of these tails. What is holding the Slowking back, and what I did talk in depth about in my ingredient deep dive on the Slowking, is just the overall stat distribution. Ingredient rate of 15% is super low. And then if we consider the nature here, let's see, careful. I don't remember exactly where that is. We have gentle maybe? Yeah, gentle is a good skill for the skill specialists. So the energy recovery down only applies to Slowking when it tries to heal itself. And the tricky thing with the Slowking is this 15% ingredient rate, because you want the tails, but then you're not really getting the tails. So to an extent, you mostly just want the skill trigger to get the most out of the skill specialist as possible. And then actually, because the Slowking is so slow, it's in the name, you also want that helping speed. And at that point, there's not really much space for anything else. Potentially the skill trigger S, potentially the ingredient finder M. But then you can also consider the berry finding. Maybe there are some cool combos here with the Suicune when it comes out, if it does have that interesting water type combo as for the Raikou. So there's just a lot to think about. I don't have a rush personally to get my hands on a Slowking. I find that my ingredient magnet Pokemon and my Ditto does a lot better job as it stands for the tails. So my Ditto personally is currently at around 45 level, and so I'm getting close to 60. The level 60 cap is not opened up yet, but I don't think I'll be reaching 55 anytime soon, compared to how I would say level 60 shouldn't be too off in the horizon, so that's going to be interesting. But yeah, you can see the drop rate here is 3 on the tails. It's got a better ingredient rate, and overall when you do the Ditto, you probably want the helping speed and the ingredient finder M, and potentially some inventory, and maybe the rash nature. So you really have a much more frequent drop of these 3 tails because of all these multipliers that you can stack in favor of your ingredient finding, because you don't care about the skill. But yeah, overall, these Pokemon with the energy charging, we got the Wobbuffets and the Slowking. For the most part, these Pokemon are to be avoided. They aren't as strong as the Gardevoir and all the rest, and so it is unfortunate. Maybe there's a balancing act at some point, and they will see a bit more use, particularly at their favored areas, but for now, I wouldn't even bother hunting them for the most part. In my videos, you might have seen me hunting for a Slowking. I just like Slowking as a Pokemon, so it would be cool to have a good one eventually, but yeah, just in terms of optimized gameplay, you're not missing out on anything. So hope you found this video interesting. If you have any feedback or thoughts, put those in the comments. Maybe there's something I'm overlooking here personally, although I don't really expect it on this topic. So leave a like if you did, and subscribe for more Pokemon Sleep videos if that's what you're into. Thank you for watching.